TV license legend. Kwame knows that by paying his TV license, he's supporting GBC, our public service broadcaster, and he's making a... We will all have access to amazing TV programs, educational content, plus broadcasting infrastructures are maintained, and our culture is beautifully promoted. So GBC is asking all to respond to this civic obligation and pay your TV license fee. For individuals, it's 3 CDs per month or 36 CDs per year. If you have multiple sets, meaning 2 or more, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana.
In a world where clean water and effective waste management are crucial, where well-designed roads and drainage systems are vital, and in a nation where innovation and technological progress are advancing, then the question will be, where is Ghana positioned in her urban development? What raise awareness, drive change, and strive for a cleaner and safer environment that can impact our daily lives. Watch Public Concern on GTV this and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Public Concern, the urban agenda.
From August 2nd to 30th, 19 nations clash in a battle for pride, power and continental glory in the 2024 African Nations Championship. Hosted across Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, the heart of East Africa will shake. A proud host, one champion. Will Senegal be able to defend their crown? CHAN 2024, where homegrown heroes rise and local legends soar beyond borders. Catch every goal, every tackle, and every heartbeat live on GTV Sports Plus. GTV Sports Plus, the legends live here.
On Tuesday, 22nd, the following factors. The receiver of Unibank acknowledged that the fictitious amounts totaling 2.1 billion did not result from cash outflows, but related to accounting entries that overstated the asset base of the bank, which predated Unibank's placement in official administration. B. A claim for the placement of 0.3. Both the criminal and civil cases have persisted over 6 years with no immediate resolution in sight. The complex nature of the legal proceedings has significantly delayed any meaningful recovery. Now, the criminal proceedings. did not foresee the possibility down the line of recovering assets and never engage in any asset, recovery process. They did not trade assets were in the hands of third parties, including those who were in court. So whilst the criminal prosecution was intended to serve as a punitive and deterrent measure, it is through the civil process that actual recovery of funds is effectively pursued. The accused person's proposal fell within the receiver's mandate to maximize recoveries for Unibank, Government of Ghana, and some institutions. Litigation could ultimately lead to lower net recovery, especially when accounting for legal costs, procedural delays, the time value of money, and the potential dissipation or concealment of assets. By contrast, the current arrangement secures the timely resolution or recovery of over 800 million Ghana cedis in assets and establishes a structured pathway to it would likely have faced prolonged delays, including multiple procedural applications, adjournments, and appeals. Even if judgment were eventually obtained in either the civil or criminal proceedings, enforcement and execution could take years, further deferring any meaningful recovery.
Welcome back. So in the studio with me, we have to my immediate left, we have Ebu Bachman. Ebu is a senior communicator with the Movement for Change. Yeah. Good morning, Ebu.
Good morning.
I hope you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, and then next to Ebu, we have Center.
Chairman.
This is your beard and my beard.
In fact,
we have bearded Ebu in the middle.
We have bearded Ebu.
As a small.
In fact, let me commend you. You are doing so well.
Thank you.
We pray that very soon you.
Thank you to my producers and my director and then the general technical team. Well, viewers, we were expecting Dr. Henry Kwabena Kokufu, the former executive director, to join us for some reasons. Also, we will be expecting Abraham Amaliba. He's a member of the NDC legal team, and he's the acting Director General for the National Road Safety Authority. So, and then we would also be joined on Zoom by Professor Lord Mensah. He's a financial economist, and then the head of local government services. Right. So we'll start with the case of Kwabena Duffuor and the 7 others. I think in 2018, we were informed by the government at the time that Kwabena Duffuor and 7 others were facing prosecution charges. One of them being that they had caused financial loss or it's a financial misconduct. Dr. Duffuor and the others were said to have received an amount of 600 to be, it was intended to be applied, and then also they were charged for theft and money laundering, that is they had used money wrongly, and then from the court documents that were submitted indicated that those or the offenses being brought, and so fair to say they were facing criminal charges at the court. Fast forward 2025, the new Attorney General, within the course of the week, made some pronouncements that the guys, and in doing so, there has been some trade-off, which the Attorney General says was a pragmatic decision or a pragmatic move, because it was able to recover. If it did not, it would rather have cost the state to lose the entire case. And so, in the opinion of the Attorney General, and you can see from the screen, he says that Attorney General ended the trial against Dr. Dufour and the others via nolli prosequi, citing a deal to recover $2 billion. He said the negotiations included the Unibank receiver and state attorneys. The decision prioritized real asset recovery over uncertain conviction. Now, the point being made by the Attorney General is that there was no indication that if the case traveled, the state would have won, and the perpetrators, or Kwabena Dufour and the others, would have been imprisoned. And so, for that reason, it felt that being able to make this decision of retrieving some money for the state was better for the state than chasing a case that we're not sure of the end result. Again, of the money on the screen that we were just shown, it says that an initial 5.7 billion claim was revised to 3.3. If you remember, during the case, after the receiver had come in and a couple of back and forths, the amount was initialized to 3. And indicated that 2.1 billion was as a result of fictitious entries, and then 300 million in placements were excluded. Now, the settlement includes landed assets worth 824 million and another 1.2 billion being recovered from beneficiaries. All the recoveries are to be completed within 18 months. And so what the Attorney General is saying, which my panel here will discuss the pros and cons. I mean, subsequent to this, other viewpoints have been shared. Other legal brains have expressed their satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the decision taken by the Attorney General as to whether this is a good precedent being set, or as to whether this is the right way to go. Comparing, again, if you go back to the screen, it says that responding to public criticisms, the Attorney General has rejected claims that the accused are keeping 40% of the stolen funds. Now, people within the week were saying that if 60% is being recovered, pay a portion back to the state. But Attorney General says that no, that is not the case, that no theft charges were filed, only financial loss and fraud. He emphasized that the conviction wasn't guaranteed. Asset recovery was prioritized over uncertain trial outcomes. He defended the 60% recovery threshold as realistic and strategic. Again, on whether the asset recovery and plea bargains, the Attorney General also says that it supports the plea deals when convictions are unlikely. In other words, if the Attorney General realizes that there is a possibility that conviction would not be achieved or attained, then one of the things that it falls on is to go into a plea deal where the state at least can make something or can recover something from the case. He backs Section 35 of the Court Act for negotiated restitution. He insists that recovery and punishment can go hand in hand. Jailing looters remains a goal, but pragmatism guides action. Non-conviction-based recovery is sometimes the only viable path. So back to the studios. So I'll start with Mano Kutin. your general overview before I go into specifics. When you heard the Attorney General on this case, what was your first feeling? What was the first inclination?
Thank you so much for having me. Very good morning. Myself, because Ibu was disqualified, just like I was disqualified. Yours was in 2008. Yes. So we share a lot of things. We don't know. Pray. You know, today we are bidding a farewell to Ambassador Yale. In fact, Ambassador Yale has been a father to all of us. We appear on a call together and say, farewell. I'm praying to God to give him a good rest, and may the souls of all others, especially yesterday we bid farewell to Ade Kuka, the former regional chairman of the NDC. I think in times like this, we need to remove people who have contributed in no smaller ways to the fortunes of this country. Having said that, my brother, my position on the Attorney General Nolly Posuka on Kwabena Duffuor and the platform, I made it very clear. And if you watch social media, I think the goodwill of the NDC has been affected, and by inference, justly. If you the later part of his statement you read, you see that there was some kind of contradictions when he said that jailing looters remains a goal, but now conviction sometimes is the way to go. I think that we certain legacies or set certain precedents. If you look at the knowledge Posuka enter Fatu Fosun, I agree with it, because if you look at the ambulance case, and anybody who have dealt in business and letters of credit, there was no business wrong him and the current governor of the Bank of Ghana. You see that we are not talking about that one, you understand? And then Opuni's trial, if you look at the trail, it was laced with politics. So that one, you realize when Opuni was finally released as well through a Posuka, nobody talked about it. But if you look at this instant case, and I've always maintained this, Dr. Duffuor banks as their personal ATMs. They did as they wished. They didn't care. They loaned money to their friends and cronies and stuff like that, feeling that the day of accountability will not come. And once some of these things happen, we often forget the Saboba. Many women don't have potable drinking water. They travel distances to fetch water. When you look at our rules, we don't have it. I'm using Saboba as an instant case because I come from Saboba. You understand? And this is what even in the capital city, I always tell people, when you drive through the main the major roads. You branch off, you'll be met with this tie rules and stuff. So people think that Accra is that developed, but it's just the cement. To ask yourself, why is this thing happening? And I was with my good friend Solomon, your co-member, Movement for Change, and he made a statement which resonated very well with me, and I think I need to credit him and repeat saying, you saw the children that died, and I understand that road was part of the Exim Bank loan they took to fix it. So if we divert state funds this way, and all we can do is to recover, and we are not looking at 7 deterrents for others not to commit sin. You see, one of the critical problems for our underdevelopment is what? Corruption. If we can plug in those loopholes, I guarantee you that we will not even need IMF. Look at the 3 million we have to go through. Even as a country, we sit here and foreigners are coming to dictate to us how we run our finances because they have given us $3 billion dollars. And look, we sit in the same class with this. It's just the petulant desire for greed. And in this country, it's only in Ghana, in Africa, you go into politics and overnight you become a billionaire. And nobody sees anything wrong. To look at life, voting an appointment. How minister's pay?
How much is a minister's pay?
I'm
not sure you know how much a minister's pay is, but what's your general? I mean, when you heard this, announcement being made by the Attorney General, especially if you juxtapose it with Richard Binge capital issue, yes,
and also Japan's issue where they offered to pay some £2 million that former Attorney General declined, which eventually turned out that the state lost that amount of money. As if you look at the rally, it makes sense because at least we are raking in some amount of money. But there are so many questions to ask. I've said politically the timing was wrong, and even how it was done it's not good politically. But if you look at it from an economic point of view, the fact that we are getting some amount of money, my personal position is that yes, the 60% is good. If you're going to get that money, for the economy, because we are struggling, as you know, we are struggling as the economy. So if 60% comes in today, is it the case that you can do whatever you want in this country? You can can steal if you like, and when you are caught, you pay some 60% or 70% and go scot-free. Is this something that we need to encourage? Because the Attorney General is saying that people are now coming to the decision is going to take, because this one has given us a picture as to what is likely to come. And I don't think we should encourage 60%, 70%. I believe that if you're going to do anything at all, it should be the 100% with punity for a time period. You deny the country of a certain developmental project, because that money could have been used to fix roads, to build hospitals, to do some stuff for the country. So it's a very dicey issue. I believe that it wasn't a good decision, maybe in respect of the timing and even the mood, how it was done. But as I said, if we can get our 60 and later get our 40 and even give them some punitive interest rate to pay country, and especially no matter how we develop this country, no matter how we try hard to increase production in agriculture sector, in the industrial sector, no matter how we try to improve on our tourism infrastructure to attract more tourists into, if you are not able to stop corruption, playing around without achieving anything, because corruption takes away from the state money easily. We struggle to get money, but corruption takes the money out easily, because people sit, they add some zeros and they make money. And especially, for example, I was in China and I was talking to a guy I was doing business with, and we were discussing issues concerning development in Africa, and he said something that has stayed with me ever since. He said in China, if you're a road contractor and you are doing a project, and the project is supposed to last 10 years, and you do the project, and on the 9th year, the project prepared to fight corruption, because they know when it comes to the road construction, people normally use inferior product to do materials to do the roads, and that is the form of corruption we don't pay attention to. We only want to see the one that was taken by the minister or at the source. But the fact that you are giving a contract, you are supposed to use 10 billion to do the project. Just small one. Then who they are? You are wondering. Yeah, it's a form of corruption. It's a form of corruption you have not paid attention to. Yeah. Okay. So, the former Attorney General also has to see on Lord Mensah. Good morning.
Good morning, sir, and good morning to our viewers. Good morning to my colleagues at the studio. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, Prof. Good morning.
Prof, I hope you're good.
Yeah, very well.
Okay, so a quick take on from your side on this, the decision by the Attorney General to rather this rather than following up on the prosecution execution to see to the end. He feels this is a better route to take than chasing conviction which might never come.
Okay, so in times like this, when it comes to banking sector, recovery, and then the loss. And for me, if you are going to lose everything, and it turns up that you are getting, 60% of it, in banking, that is the way to go. But then, if Unibank was not to be, operational, banks' existence goes beyond just the financial, benefit. We have to look at the economic the bank gives, to the society. So for me, going after Unibank, which is a local bank, at the point where we're struggling as far as is concerned, lapse, and then putting it under a different bank, for me, was a problem. The reason why I'm saying this is that we may have to look at the benefits that the existence of the bank gives to the country. One, look at the possible employment that the bank creates and how the bank is making homes, different homes, to survive. Somebody working in the bank would definitely put his check and salaries that can afford the school fees and other things. So when you crash the bank, and at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself the economic cost under normal circumstance, in times of distress like this, that is what is done. Usually, the state will not afford to lose everything, rather than, recovering part of it. And in banking, we always say speed up. I don't see anything wrong from economic and financial perspective. I don't see anything wrong to what the Attorney General has done by recovering, 60% all that is at stake. It is look at is, in finance, sometimes we use, a statement like too big to fail. If you look at the 2008 financial crisis, there were financial institutions like Best Banks who had, gone into subprime loan, lending to non-credit market. But at the end of the day, when the government came in, the government had to, rescue, even though there were some financial misappropriations here and there. Because the government looks at the stakeholder, you are going to break homes. You are going to, have impact on government revenue because of will be reduced as a result of the banks going off, the shareholders. Now, in times where banks are facing difficulty, what is normally done is that you give the shareholders the opportunity to look for money to inject into the bank. If possibly you allow a private man to come in. The government can also afford, government pumps in money to ensure that government holds certain, ownership or reduce the shareholdings of the existing shareholders. So it becomes, kind of indirect without necessarily distorting the architecture that the bank comes with. Looking at what happened, with Unibank, clearly the loss that we've made is bigger than, of what your kids need to change schools and other things. So from where I say the approach that we used, in recovering, Unibank's monies that were lost by the state, for me, wasn't a good approach. So we got it wrong. But then the Attorney General, I believe, has seen that, look, instead of losing everything,
Okay, thank you. I think we are having some technical challenges, so we'll come back. Okay. Doc, can you hear me? Sorry. Prof, can you hear me? You were saying, so I hear everything you were saying. I hear the part about it's good for us to do recovery because the funds practically can be put to better use. I hear talking about first thing to is the impact of the loss. The question, the question my listeners, the question my viewers are asking, the question my people on social media are asking is, what calculation goes into the determination of a 90? Why?
The 60% I prefer.
Activity issues when Prof comes back. I'll return to him with it.
There's room to get perspective, and then we have the legal perspective. But from economic sense, I think what the Attorney General is doing.
Okay, so back to the studio. So I'll go back to Prof to answer that question because I've been struggling to understand why 60 for 60. But since he's speaking figures, but let's come back in here. So Ebo, before we go to what the former Attorney General also says on this case, he came to do some rebuttals and saying that the current Attorney General is doing politics. However, you earlier made mention in your first submission that you feel there's some bit of political direction in the decision taken by the Attorney General. Now, my question is, does this case test the boundaries for us between political accountability? Is this a test for us, considering the position of this Attorney General when he was in opposition on this case, where he stood, what he believed in, and then the decision being taken now? Is this a test?
He said, so on the issue of looking at the issue from the economic perspective, since Prof and myself are on the same page, because I said, if you look at it from economic perspective, it makes sense because of our current situation as a nation. But I also talk about the political miscalculation. It can pose as a cost to the NDC in a way because of the fact that if you go to social media and if you talk to people, like people don't seem to really understand the issues, and so they'll be asking the questions, and it gives the impression that the 60% that is beginning to, because of who he is, because of the relationship he's got with the party, which may not necessarily be the case. That's what I'm saying, that politically it could cause them. Yes, but you see, better. We should make our laws in such a way that people cannot easily manipulate our laws to favor one person against the other. The laws must be such that the law should be able to speak for itself. It shouldn't take someone to decide to use the issue of 60%, for example. It is the issue of discretion, because we don't have any law that says that it's in such circumstances 70% must apply.
That's the danger.
Yes.
Because another Attorney General will come one day and say that, well, my discretion 20%.
Yes, that is the danger. So we're going to have a law regarding plea bargain, where if you are to pay money, the law specifies the amount of money and other punitive measures alongside paying the money. If that is going to be the case, then it's not going to be the Attorney General who is going to determine. But you see, one other thing I think we also need to look at is, and I've something that sometimes I tease people with this to know where they stand. That, for example, in our Tracy's case, I think he's got about 53 million to pay. So which one do you think the state should go for? 53 million or 27 15 years? Now, if I Tracy should sell 15 years, and the money is really there, what it means is that his family is going to use the money. They can invest the money and make money out of it. 15 years, at least, so it's a situation where somebody will have to suffer 15 years to get 53 million. Are you getting the argument I'm making? So it's also one leg of the argument. So the question is, why don't you get the 53 million? And beyond that, if you have some other punitive interest, 2 years in prison. Are you getting the point? So I think we should make corruption very expensive in this country, and the idea of getting the money is, for me, important, because you stole money or you misapplied money, so it is others to also be engaging in that, because they know that
200 and I pay 60 back and I keep 40.
Yeah,
I come still another 100.
Yes, yeah. So it's
not to say he stole money though, but
that is But so it is important we look at this issue very well. Of course, the reason why I am
what is it, the opposition?
I'm talking about the main opposition.
But they are not a party yet.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
The last week, Solo mentioned that they were evolving into a party.
Yeah, very soon. They have very soon. So, and that is why I'm talking about the political bit of it. But it makes sense to get what you've lost. But I think it shouldn't be at the discretion of the Attorney General. It should be something that should be, printed black and white. That if you have to pay, if you do that, I think it's going a long way to help us.
Okay. So, Kutin, you, in your first submission, you mentioned that you think this action by the Attorney General will begin to end against this government seems to be enjoying. Now, my question is, are you saying this because it gives an impression that for certain caliber of people who are politically...
Your question, I just want to respond to Prof. I can understand Prof, okay? Because he's a financial economist, and obviously he will be looking at recovery. But what is the political reality? And to my good friend Ibo, the laws. We have the laws in our status. It's just for political gymnastics. We are refusing. Problem. I agree with you. You see, all the people who are talking to the current ruling party, that is what makes it governor and the NDC, a former finance minister and the NDC. That is what makes it dangerous. I'm happy that Atu Esen, you see on your program, you recall, when I justified that if they will go for 60-40, then Atu Esen has no business. They have granted him a 10 million bail at the appeals court. So it means that the 60-40 has been normalized. Because you see that whatever we say, it has some form of influence over the person was not given. Atu Esen was not given a bail. I understand he's in poor health and he has a spinal challenge. And I think even on the side of humanity and stuff. So we have Park Wisindum, right? His bank was also collapsed. In the case of Park Wisindum, was to quickly restore his license. You know why? If you go to every village in this country, you see AGM bank there. That was to help financial literacy. So all of this, how did we even get here, my brother? It shows how in Africa governance is done. Because we pay taxes and government use our taxes is to save me and you. These banks, the monies that they use in collapsing these banks, these monies, if they have pumped these monies into the banks, it would have saved people's jobs. Because of that singular action by the previous government, our parents suffered serious haircuts. You will call the former Chief Justice, even demonstrating on the street because of her pension. So sometimes if you look at the bus, a very dangerous terrain that as a country, if we don't take care, like my brother said, corruption becomes so attractive. Let's look at the case of NIB. When this government came, the government thought that no, we can collapse this bank. How much did they pump? 2 billion Ghana cedi. How many jobs did they save? 900 jobs. For the first quarter of this year, NIB has made profit for the first time. So you see the differences. So, having commended the government on this side, I want, because of this current action is gone. And if this government doesn't get its acts right, you know, Ghanaians, when they write you off, you can even bring gold cups and serve them water. They will not even appreciate it. It happened in the other government. We can say that under the... Is the Attorney General saying that all the criminal cases we have, Chama, to me and whatever, is the 60-40% we are going to go by? Is that what they are saying? So I think that if we go on this tangent, my brother, we all stop what we are doing and this man to start a good business. And when I'm called, they say bring 60 cedis. I've gotten a capital of 40 cedis too. So we must shy away of the issue of getting a loaf of bread is better. Examples of, look, when this issue came, the recoveries, we had a receiver. Is that not it? What is the Attorney General talking about? Which the new properties have they now discovered? So the Attorney General to come out and let the good people of this country know that these are the same properties Kwabena Duffuor and his group has bought, and this is how much they have paid, and these are the plans to recover the others. Talk is cheap. We want to see the facts, and the good people of this country deserve to know that. And if that is put in the fore, I think all these nuances and speculation will come to a stop.
Godfred Dami, the former Attorney General, agrees with you. Let's see what he says also, and I would concentrate on the point two. The point one is just to clear the air on some claims the Attorney General made in regards to the Forcing case. But on the second one, which you just mentioned about the new asset recoveries, he's saying that all assets Dr. Ayine claims to be recovering were already identified by the receiver. Exactly what you are saying, that he's not said anything new. No new assets have been dismissed now. So in other words, what you are saying and what Godfred is saying is that the Attorney General should let us know which new ones have been recovered. There's no agreement or valuation validating Ayine's 2 billion Ghana cedi recovery claims. Dami argued that Dr. Ayine cannot claim credit for future use pledges. He questioned the legality of Dr. Ayine's non-prosecutor-based arrangement.
So you see.
Okay, so back to you.
So you see what
we'll go back to the screen, but back to you.
So you see what I'm talking about. And to end up with the Atuforcing paying some, and there was 53 million standing, and to ACN, sorry, and he going to serve a 15-year jail term. I think we must bring in the two. Who tells you that if Kwabena Duffuor and his team were taken through the process and they see the danger of good level, under the previous government and under this government, non-prosecutor cases are happening. And the SOP, the special prosecutor, he's also going through that route. The time of the conviction, no, I think the 7 they got was through plea bargain. So why are we?
It's one of the means to get. So
it's one of the means, but we shouldn't encourage that. We should learn from best practices. Just suppose that with the Woyomi case, didn't they take all the 100+ punitive measures to pay interest on the money? And we are going. I mean, I'll say 50 because what's the difference between 60 and 50?
But I agree with you. Let's look at other points made by Godfred. I agree with on that. So on the third point, Godfred says that the former Attorney General is accusing Ayine of using his office to free former clients via noli prosequi, which I mentioned earlier, that considering, which is what I put to, considering the fact that he, at a point, he represented one of the parties in that case. He said Ayine should have disclosed his conflict at his press conference. Ayine allegedly exaggerated asset recovery successes without legal backing. Dame challenged Ayine to show proof of any actual funds recovered, which is what Emmanuel Kutin has said this morning, that we need to see proof. Talk is cheap, we need to see proof. He implied Ayine's move prioritizes politics over legal accountability. Then the fourth one, which is the question I put to Ebu here, that Godfred Dame is criticizing the Attorney General for not appealing the Court of Appeal acquittal in the Atufosin case. He noted that past successful prosecutions like Atu ACN, Sedinam Tamaklo, and Bafu Boni, yet Ayine discontinued several NDC-era cases worth over 7 billion. He questioned why Ayine wouldn't extradite Tamaklo to serve her sentence. In other words, he's asking that, is everything Ayine doing selective justice, where when it comes to people who are affiliated with the ruling government, he seems to be lighter on them. He seems to be to give them a softer or a good shoulder for them to rest on. And on the fifth point, he's saying that what Ayine is doing is undermining judicial reforms and what predecessors have done. He says that he has accused the Attorney General of hypocrisy in blaming delays on the justice system. Ayine himself used legal tactics to stall cases when in opposition. That may urge or the Attorney General to reintroduce stalled reforms aimed at speeding trials. So this has to do with prosecution and procedure. So, gentlemen, back to you. Maybe our last take on this case. Since it's
to end on this very one, you see the conflict of interest issue the former Attorney General raised. You know, it's a law that a lawyer will not forsake a former client. I know Ayine initially represented Dr. Kwabena Dufo. It went through Akufo-Addo and Chambers and to another lawyer. So you see the political gymnastics that representation even went through.
And Martin Amidu actually says similar thing in his press release. He says that on the case of conflict of interest, which is what Kutin you just mentioned, pointing out before, which is what you're saying, that once a person's lawyer, technically the interest of the person is always exactly. Yes, he represented Kwabena Dufo in the case, and so Martin is asking that if he was arguing for them again, would he be conflicted? I remember during his vetting, he was asked this question, and his answer was he couldn't hit straight, and this has been his test of time. Martin Amidu also is saying that he has said that the government's discontinuation of the Dufour trial through a noli prosequi risks of high corruption, especially since it bypasses Ghana's legally mandated plea-bargaining procedure. What he says is that there's supposed to be a procedure in place, and how this went about bypassed that procedure to arrive at the 60%. That's why I was asking Prof, how did we arrive at that figure?
Because it's only the law courts
yes.
that can justify these plea bargains.
Yes.
Otherwise, they have done a lot of disservice to Kwabena Dufo himself. Because if there's a change of government, remember, crime
has no
expiring date. He'll be back in the box. So Martin Amidu
this, right. Okay, so now let's go back to Martin Amidu. Martin says that Amidu, he criticizes the settlement as legally unenforceable since it wasn't filed as making any oversight or accountability mechanisms an illusion and non-binding. What this means is that beyond the Attorney General's office, it will be difficult for anybody to go to court to go and seek to enforce the accusation. This plea bargain did not come through the court, and that's what Martin is saying here. He goes on to say that this shows some bit of cronyism where there are cronies and then political protection. He alleges that the discontinuation is part of a pattern of protecting appointed BOG Governor Isiama to President Mahama and Dominic Ayini. So he has drawn a link between before the current governor to the president and to the Attorney General. He says that they are closely knitted, and so he believes that the discontinuation is part of a whole political attempt to protect its own. And then on point 6, he's also asking for public vigilance. He warns that this action undermines criminal justice and deters deterrence, which is what we both panelists or both guests in the studio have said this morning, that this action does not deter people from involving themselves in criminal actions. Rather, it might encourage them, knowing that when I make 100, just a portion can be claimed at the discretion of the Attorney General. And this urges Ghanaians to resist psychological manipulation, and he's asking Ghanaians, resist this psychological manipulation where it looks like in the public eye something is being done, but in actual sense, according to him, it's just protection using political power. And for the public to demand genuine accountability in governance. I understand that we are being joined on Zoom, or we will be joined on Zoom by Nelson Noble Amedowonu. He's a lawyer with the end, and we would have his take also on these issues. So, gentlemen.
My last take.
Yes.
Yeah, man. You see, from where this case started, I mean, if you trace back to how this came about, Imam made reference to the collapse of the bank to target some banks, including Unibank and Nindom's Bank and Capital Bank and the rest. Even at a point in time, Atuisen came out to say that the former minister, Kenneth Rata, approached him wanting to buy his bank. Yes. Then the issue, I think that one deserves a commendation, and that the government, you know, if you read the John 10:10, the Bible, John 10:10, it says the thief does not come except to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life to the banks. Yesterday. And the B part fits what the government has done today, that like the NIB is being protected, the government didn't. But the most interesting thing is that, even, I don't know whether you heard about it, that even the former finance minister and his team wanted to buy the NIB. What? Oh yeah, that is why they intentionally decided to let the bank get to that level, right, so that that could be the basis for the bank to be sold.
I'll come back to you in studio. I understand that Nelson is ready on Zoom. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning.
Right, and so viewers, Nelson is standing in for Mr. Amaliba, who was unable to join us this morning in person. How is your morning, Nelson?
I'm good, yourself?
And so I'm rhyming the morning. Right. Anyway, so I'm sure you've been listening to us. We are digesting the Attorney General's position on discontinuing the case. The 7 others. We've heard the viewpoint of the panel here, or the guest in Prof. Lord Mensa on Zoom, and then we've gone through what Martin Amidu and what former Attorney General Godfrey Dami also think of the situation. As a member of the legal team of the NDC, the ruling party.
Matter again. And this can only be entered by one person, that is the Attorney General. So if the Attorney General exercise that power, it's either because they don't have enough evidence, or because they don't have solution. Because, mind you, one thing we should all know is that in every prosecution, the prosecutor is looking at whether he or she will be able to get a conviction. So once you know that your evidence or your witnesses cannot window or another way out, you take that way out. And that other way out can be negotiation, which in this case may be plea bargain. And plea bargain, if a part passes one, you give notice to the court. And that is something that will not be in the public domain. Whether the party has written that you have started. The party does not seek to notify the court that this is the formal procedure that he has started. They will continue their plea bargain without notice to the court. But at the end of the day, they have to notify the court that this is what they have done. And plea bargain can lead to one, nolli prosequa, the AG entry nolli prosequa for a party. Two, the AG can also withdraw a case as part as a conclusion of the plea bargain. Or three, the AG can enter nolli prosequa on an aspect, some of the charges of the matter, or complete. So in this particular case, have enough evidence or witnesses, is within their right to withdraw the matter. So if they withdraw the matter by entering nolli prosequa is simply a notice to the court that they are not interested in prosecuting. If you are able to better than none, if the party says that I'm to give this money, in the Atufosin, we want to give this money, but the state said no. And at the end of the day, there's something. If you know very well that, oh, we don't have enough evidence, so the right thing to do is to withdraw the matter, which is within the domain of the AG. I'm not sure it's fair for anyone to be imputed. The current AG was the lawyer for Kobina Dufo. He was the lawyer. But what we should also ask is who was in charge of that decision to enter the nolli prosequa. It may be any of the deputies. It may not be he himself. So unless we go into it, seek to come and be saying that he was, although the public decision end up with him, that oh, he has the power, so he has done what he ought to do. It will not be fair for us to be impugning any conflict of interest.
Nelson, can you hear me?
Who has that power?
Nelson, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. So it's interesting how where and how you ended. I mean, in between your who probably are the ones who made this plea bargain, and I mean you are trying to move away from the fact that ultimate responsibility of who is the agent of the. So even if it's assignees of the Auditor General, the Attorney General who acted, you cannot run away from the fact that the ultimate responsibility lies on him. If you are saying that it is possible that the accused made the plea bargain made through the court, then it would not has been left for the general public. Then you should understand why the general public is speculating, and you should not dismiss that speculation to make the general public feel they are not entitled to that speculation.
You cannot say that in speculating. Before we have to look at the mandate that the person has, because he is an office holder, and that office imposes on him some responsibility by.
Okay, I think we've lost him. Gentlemen, I think we yeah, so just you then we take a quick break.
So the reason why I didn't want to react to Godfred Dami's decision to spend over 25 million to collapse banks when that money could have been used to save the banks is what got us here. So I don't think they have. For me, what is important is that moving this challenge of always high profile as part of the issue that you raised, that our legal or accountability regime is very weak. People are able to manipulate the legal process to the extent it can last 7, 8 years, 9 years in court. Or that would, if like, require the courts to use 1 year, at most 1 year, to resolve criminal cases, especially high-profile political criminal cases, so that within 1 year, so that the prosecutor will be filed in their favor. We should avoid that kind of situation.
So viewers will be taking a quick break. When we return, we'll be discussing the OSP bill to own properties. If you don't own landed properties, you can sleep in behind, or you can be kept for a very long time. Eventually, it has been revised. When we come back from our break, we'll be delving into it to look deep into this issue. We'll be right back.
In a world where clean water and effective waste management are crucial, where well-designed roads and drainage systems, a nation where innovation and technological progress are advancing, then the question will be, where is Ghana positioned to drive change and strive for a cleaner and safer environment that can impact our daily lives? Watch Public on GTV. This and every Tuesday. Public the Urban Agenda.
Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. Med Shea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
The streets
or the court demand for you to come and stand trial. So in this regard is self-recognizance bill. But moving forward, I don't want to sound as if I'm defending the special prosecutor because I don't work for the special prosecutor. But when an investigation body gives self-recognizance bill to someone,
hello, Nelson.
in this particular...
Yeah, Nelson, can you hear me? Please hold on. I'll come back to you. I mean, you were trying to explain, but I'll come back to you on what you were saying. So please hold on. I'll get back to you. On the bit of the self-recognizance bill, if just to educate our viewers, when we talk about self-recognizance, the reason why I, in my personal opinion, I do not think what was being given to Paul as self-recognizance, because if it's self-recognizance, it does not require the provision of any security. The person's prominence is security enough for self-recognizance. So I'll come back to you, Nelson, but back to the studio. If just to it would not be held overnight. But what's your view on this whole bill? I mean, we've been hearing issues about bill recently. Some are bringing 200 million there. The Ebu Ibrahim case and his wife, even with
it's clearly stated that you can come with a lawyer of your choice. That means that you may not go home, so you have to prepare. So Paul simply didn't prepare. That is the first point. Second, I'm struggling to understand the nature of the bill. The special prosecutor.
Let me just clarify the earlier point you made, so that you can just clarity. So my understanding of what happened is that the special prosecutor, or the office of the special prosecutor, says there is an issue I'm investigating. So I need you to come assist me investigate. So I need some questions clarified.
No, it moves beyond assistant. Let me give this information. They were in constant touch with him on phone.
Yes.
And he kept evading the office until they gave him a tentative time to come. And he should come with a lawyer of his choice. It was not, the matter has escalated from assistant to being a suspect.
Yesterday, Sami Dako.
Yes, the matter had escalated from assistance to being a suspect. So once you become a suspect, you should have been prepared. And to be charitable to the special prosecutor, the bail condition was minimal, except that Paul was being mischievous. And to me, it was a trap the special prosecutor was setting for Paul, and he fell flat. Because ORA reports I had the privilege to look at certain portions, had documented certain properties that belongs to Paul.
Solely belongs to him.
Paul, yes. So for whatever reasons he says he doesn't have any landed property in his name in Ghana, it speaks volumes. It means that he has landed properties in other jurisdictions. And what is a landed property? It can be any land, whether built or non-built. Even a kiosk in your name is a landed property. Even if it is worth 1 cedi, that is all the special prosecutor needed. But I don't know for whatever reason, you understand, Paul was trying to be evasive. Now, this is the catch. Paul Fana bill, and if you look at the, I don't want to go into the specifics because it's an investigation.
Right.
I don't want to sound prejudicial in this matter. I think that Paul did himself a lot of disservice. He should have just cooperated and this matter wouldn't have escalated to the level it is now, where it has become a social media trending issue. Now, to the special prosecutor, I have some challenges with him. If you look at his release, he said Paul 2. If you know after investigation, how can the charged person still be under investigation? So this I'm not a lawyer, but this are mistakes that shouldn't be coming to from the special prosecutor. He's a good lawyer with good kind of blackmail the good people of this country into getting better condition of service for his employees. It's up people muscles to kind of do deals with these people. For Christ's sake, the special prosecutor has been in the office for a very long time. What did he do about this condition of service for his employees? Is it now that active cases are coming because of the change of government? So to me, you brought Kisi Ajabe. Where was he working before? He was in the good books of the government at the time. And from what we hear, through Gambi and Co, this gentleman was brought, and along the line they fell out. Now, the NDC say, well, this is the own person you brought.
I mean, yesterday, there are 2 MPP appointees who are fighting.
So this is what I am trying to let us avoid. Look, there are independent-minded people who can occupy these offices without any links to any of the political class. And you know, many of the law firms are held by this political class. It's just like the private TV stations and stuff like that. I think they are very independent-minded lawyers who can do these jobs than what we are witnessing. We don't want a situation when the NDC will get rid of him and bring their own. Then the stage of government people say, well, you brought this person, you understand? So we have to look at guarantees for the office of the special prosecutor and streamline things. Then we don't fall, we just play it and straining so much on social media. I think the matter in issue, everybody will be happy to see a happy home like he's having. I'm so proud and happy for him, at least for the children. But why do you expose your family in public like this? I didn't know Paul's wife. I only know his children. You are exposing these children to some form of risk. As a security analyst, I will not do this. And I think that we must shy away from social media, cutting public opinions to serious national issues, especially when it has to do with allegation of what? Corruption. You understand? This doesn't augur well. It looks as if there's some impunity. You can almost commit political corruption and do as you wish.
But the OSP is coming to the social media to court affection for his office. Is this not his also counter way of going to the same social, bringing the fight to a common platform?
So let him tell which special prosecutor will prosecute his case in the social media. That is the things we are talking about. We have to streamline our institutions and build institutions that will be accountable to me and you. So when we build institutions, not because we build institutions to target individuals, we build institutions to build our mechanisms to make sure that everybody is protected by same institutions. Look, when MPP was in government, they did so many things some of us spoke against. And because of that, we're disqualified from elections and things. And I said, look, we are putting the national interest first. Let's build institutions that will take care of everybody tomorrow. They didn't listen.
On social media, on the streets, on WhatsApp platforms, you hear people complaining that this is a witch hunt. Paul has been bashing the OSP from day one. He's been on the back of the OSP, calling him out. The OSP signed the contract for with this company and are going for the board chair. Not even all the board members, but the board chair. And some are saying that this smells or smacks of a witch hunt. What do you think?
Yeah, let me say this, that when it comes to the issue of corruption or corruption-related matters, I'm always on the side of the state. Unless the investigative body is doing something what is outside the domain of the Constitution. If what is being done is within the remit of the Constitution, I'm always on the side of the state, because as we said, corruption should be made expensive so that it will deter people from wanting to commit the crime. Yes, I have said that if Paul, it should be the process, or the process should be what should Paul does, or what he says on his television show. I believe that the process that the case is going through at the moment, the OSP has not done anything against any law in this country. Even the, how do you call it? The bail condition, you see and hear what they are doing. So if all of us have given our power to someone to be, it should our responsibility to be encouraging them to be able to do of the states, and maybe that's, I would always want to support those who have been given the mandate to be investigating people for crimes and all that. So yes, I support the OSP. I don't think he's done anything wrong. The fact that there seems to be a problem between the OSP and the he's got questions to answer. In respect of procurement, on the basis of a contract is given to another company that did not appear before the board. So on what basis would you accept a presentation from one company and give a contract to another company that has nothing to do with the first company? Because per the information we are getting, the two Deafness and Evertex are not related in any way. And also, if you consider the fact that SML has become a common name in Ghana because of appeared here. And in fact, I was listening to Sami Daku yesterday. He said Paul has no question. He's free. He's not done anything untoward against the state. He was scot-free. But you see, people are reading political meaning into it. That because of the Paul, then so OSP wants to take a revenge at Paul by also doing this case. I think it's neither here nor there. The issue is that the question is, has Paul any question to answer? And per the information available, per what I have read, he will certainly have questions that he was as the board chairman. You have contracts will be to the benefit of the states, not to the benefit of certain individuals within the state. So he's got the questions to answer. So yes, people are saying all manner of things on social media. Paul is also doing something, but something and told us his side of the story. And I was asking myself, why are we the OSP? If you have answers, go to the OSP. And he says something that he didn't have any relationship. He didn't even know those behind the company. Now, Manasseh said they brought the contract mandated from the board. Yeah, not from management, which is against governance practice. shot himself in the foot by coming out to say that he didn't know.
I think it's called a Evans something. So if the two people might be the same.
Yes. So these are the open story. I mean, to avoid specter of person of who you require before the law. Let it apply to it for the law as a Ghanaian, regardless of your status in society, regardless of how we should approach the issue of corruption. If we really want to fight corruption,
to be involved in it. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the ceasefire in Boko. We'll be right back.
We are constantly like to know
your thoughts about our program and what areas you could improve upon.
With honest opinion.
Send us your feedback via email on feedback@gbcghanaonline.com and via telephone and WhatsApp number 030-395-9605.
GBC, still the most authentic voice.
Your handles. Facebook at GTV Ghana. Twitter at GTV Ghana. Instagram at YouTube at GTV Ghana. Follow us on all our social media handles at GTV Ghana. GTV.
Politics isn't just about power. It's about you, your family, your future. Current agenda will reflect on the policies shaping our world, challenge the leaders who make decisions, and hear directly from you. From the capital to your hometown, we deal with the issues that matter most head on. The economy, healthcare, climate change, social. With in-depth, we empower you to be part of the solution. Every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Current agenda. Your voice, your power.
Occasion to appeal not accept the current situation. Students are shot in school and killed. We can't accept the current situation where teachers, public officers have all run away from Boko because they are afraid for their lives. And we have given the mediation efforts to Otumfuo, and he has briefed me constantly on the progress that he's been making. And we are almost there. And so the current fighting and killings can only be done by people who want to derail the mediation effort. And so let's give peace a chance. But as the army has announced,
I have directed the army to move from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. That means they're going to be a bit more robust with anybody who is involved in criminality. And so,
being a young man growing up, this issue about Mampusis and Kusasis, if I mentioned them correctly, has been an issue that comes up frequently. Today you hear about the fight, the misunderstanding, the killing, the shedding of blood, the running away of professionals from the area, and affecting the level of development of the area, of the people, and the geographical location of the place is so good that if peace was given a chance and development goes in there as is expected, it should have been a place of interest, of tourism interest, of development interest, of economic interest. But here we are, after so many years, thinking that there was peace. From nowhere, it comes again. We are hearing, or we've heard that there's been some brokering that has been done, and so there is some level of peace. But how sustainable is this peace? What is more worrying is that, unlike previous years, now this goes beyond the usual boundaries and borders of the Bawku area. Now, anywhere you find yourself and you identify as one of the two areas fighting, you are at risk. And so it makes life very difficult living, irrespective of where you find yourself. We have in the studio a security expert who we would ask to walk us through the history behind this, and also narrow it down to what triggered the recent conflict, and then basically what this ceasefire seems to mean and how sustainable this approach is. So, Mr. Putin, I'm giving you the next 10 to 15 minutes. Assume that your viewers are hearing this Bawku story for the first time. For the young ones, for the millennials, for the G's or the Generation Z that are listening, how did this all begin? What started this? I mean, in summary, and then this particular one, what activated it, or what made it come about, and then the ceasefire that we are being told.
And let me use your esteemed platform to honor times to date, and also acknowledge the pain of the wounded and the displaced. Ghanaians, by our nature, no one would have ever thought that two ethnic groups, and he's just one of many. You know, not within the way we intermarry, so nobody would have thought about this. If we want to talk about the history of this conflict, summary of how it all started independence independence through Nkrumah, and this is, I think, the Rawlings this time, the thing escalated when he used that to install, to correct the edits and what have you. But you know, everywhere comes with its own hazards. But you see, I did to Abuka represented the Kusasis, and it was live on Metro. The Kusasis gave their point, the Mampru their point. And my concluding remarks were that this was a good starting point. So I urged government at the time, that was during the time of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, to get a parliamentary inquiry into this matter so that it will be live. Then, you know, one way of getting to the table to discuss is venting your pain and anger. You understand? Let the new people of this country know the positions and pain of both sides. And you get very good peace-building experts, governance experts, lawyers, so that they can fashion out a solution out of it. And where this conflict has gotten to, whether we like it or not, something must give way to the other. And that's the beauty of peaceful negotiation of conflict. And I always use the Dagbon as an example where I was privileged to be a peace consultant to the chieftaincy crisis, even though they are unrelated. Because in the Dagbon case, it was about one family fighting over secession plans. And in the Boku case, it's two ethnic groups trying to claim ownership of the chieftaincy title in Boku. And it's not in my case to say that the seat is for the Mampreshis or is for the Kusasis. No, I think that is beyond me as a peace builder. Now, if you look at the Dagbon, but lack of government implementing the court orders protracted the conflict. And you see, one thing I learned from the Dagbon crisis is that kind of negotiations. So if you look at the Dagbon case, it traveled through Rawlings to Kufuor, Atamios, John Mahama, and finally Nana Akufo-Addo. Why am I bringing this? If you look at going on by His Eminence, there are no timelines. And at first, that is a serious gap in the negotiation process. If there are no timelines, will not be there. And secondly, at any point in time, we have what we call this, we term in peace building as conflict profiteers. They benefit as long as it rages on. So go on their way, they can just throw anything into the mix to escalate the process. Now, what brought about Boku case have taken a political turn because of what successive government have done. So you even recall that there were political campaigns on this very Boku when a political party said, well, when we win, we'll come and restore parity. The other one said, when we win, we'll do ABC. You see the political damage sort of East, in the Upper East in particular, especially in the Kusau area, NDC swept all the votes. And subsequent to that, you realize the youth of the Kusau tried to burn Mama Ayaga's promise, and they are not seeing that. and for the people. And I think Otumfuo is better placed because of the respect that comes to his chieftaincy enclave, because Dagbon, he did it. And Dagbon, he succeeded because there's a relationship between the Dagumbes and the Ashantis, because he calls them their grandchildren. And I don't want to bore listeners with that because we are not talking about Dagbon now. So now, what the president did, I was happy, was infusing cultural diplomacy with governance. And I think that they were almost through with the negotiation. I'm happy the way Otumfuo went about it. He did it in a submarine manner. Nobody even knew what was going on behind the scenes. You recall that the Nairi paid a visit to the president. That was part of the processing the final points to the deal. And then Kumasi, we had a Ikusa later, another killing, and then subsequently in where we got 2 students. And what the president did, I was happy, is that the 2 students that were killed in Nale Precious, in the north, they are tribal in nature. So that was why government quickly imposed curfew to maintain law and order. Then they don't invite another ethnic group to an already charged conflict. Okay. That was why so that curfew, yes, get themselves involved. 3 tribes. It becomes 3 tribes. So that was why the curfew afternoon to and we got this press release from the Nairi Palace that the government didn't consult him, and to him it amounted to disrespecting his authority and stuff like that. You see, let us be very honest with ourselves. We practice a constitutional democracy where power is vested in the hands of one person, the executive. And they kind of take decisions in the interest of the state. The president is not obliged to inform the Nairi that, look, I'm coming to impose curfew. In any case, you are part of the conflicting parties. You understand? That favors one side to the other. And I'm also of the view that we don't have to set very dangerous precedents where other chiefs in the future will exert that right. Because Nairi is my grandfather. One man Fede Ochihini, and the Central Regional one I don't know. But if you go to Western Region, Oja or Ahoho or something, and then Domahine. These are the prominent chiefs respected, you know. So it has brought a question about the balance between the chieftaincy institution and the modern state. You understand? Mandates. See how we can modernize our chieftaincy institution to play complementary role with the state. I'm of the view that the modern state alone cannot make our democracy succeed without the custodians of our culture. And as our values are we, you are lost. So this is a conversation as a country we need to have. Now, enforcement. Crime is crime. We still have capital punishment under our status. Is that not it? Yeah. Because successive governments have failed to investigate and punish perpetrators of these conflicts, it emboldens them to do more. How can you kill somebody and take his life away and expect to keep yours. So this has led us to where we are today. So I'm pleading with the government that the instances that have happened, we should make sure investigations are done, and they are meant to go through the court processes. If it demands that they go to firing squad, be a Mamprecious or a Kusa, why not? It will put some fear in others. And I think that when that exemplar is set, I tell you, people who plan to take the life of others will think twice. And you remember, under Nana Akufo-Addo, when the Mamprecious chief was enskined and they couldn't take him to Boku, I think some processes led to the court issuing a bench warrant for the Nairi. You remember the gymnastics that went on, and the court was forced to rescind its decision. To me, I think that nobody is above the law, not even the president of the country. What examples we should have set at the time is to afford the Nairi the opportunity to defend himself and purge himself of that arrest warrant. So you see that a precedent was set, you understand? And now, the Mamprecious chief, the Boku Naba, the Mamprecious Nairi Enskin was escorted to Boku, and that brought the hostilities we are having now. So to me, in situations like this, nobody wins. I think the problem of Boku is about it's poverty driven. Look, if you have something to do, I have something to do. Who will be interested in mobilizing to go and kill another human being? So it shows how government must prioritize the equitable distribution of our national cake. It looks as if our development has centered only in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, as if the rest of the world is not. So these conflicts that are coming up is a warning sign to government that if we want to sustain our democracy, we must make sure that we get development to our people. You see the Barclays Bank in Boku, it was one of the highest, ABSA, now ABSA, it was one of the highest cash deposit in the entire country. They were taking cash deposit, they were the leading. You know, because of the landlord country, Niger, things when they are coming to Ghana, all their money there.
That's the reason why I mentioned that where Boku is located. I mean, I've been there twice. Yeah. It was a bit sad for me the first time I went there. I see vast land bent, fire evasion, and yes, when you have people coming from the northern Niger, from there to the let's say the southern part, it was just safe for you to carry money. So most of them put their money in the accounts there, then travel to, if it's Accra, Kumasi, wherever it is, and then they withdraw from the branches of the bank there to do their transactions. And then when they are done, they pay in there, and then they go. And because ABSA it was very convenient.
And there was one angle to they bring in the CFA. So when they change, we benefit. So it was both ways. And I also urge government.
To have your last
yes, my last point on this one. To let us know the cost have expanded over the period in maintaining. If we had channeled this money through development, and the president made a profound statement when he said they were now moving from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. You see, good as that may have been, I think the communication from the presidency was wrong. In democracy, it is must know what is expected of them. And you see, people mediation or other ingredients without the consent of the conflicting alien. It happens under the mandate of the UN Security Council. If you look at the UN, if Ghana is adopting a peace enforcement posture internally, there are so many questions we have to ask ourselves. And what legal acted on Ghana. So I think that we are in a human shows why we need to build the capacity of our peace builders, the capacity of government communicators on peace building. I'm sure if they had this capacity, they wouldn't have had these miscalculations. And to some of us, we didn't just come to peace building by mistake. I was a victim of the conflict in the north. You know, you remember the Nanumba Konkomba war. They called it from Saoba 3 AD to Tamale. We had to go to Upper East, Notre Dame. That was not so favorable. They took us to Zambia in Upper West, where you have to move to Accra, use the Bolu Bombo through Osa. That time we had Osa. Then my uncle, who was a high court judge, is a circuit Bishop Herman. I finally completed Bishop Herman. I've never said this anywhere. So she have used 4 years, 6 years and a half I used. Wow. So that is why some of us, when we are talking about peace building, that is we have felt it, yes, and we know what it is. We shouldn't pray for it.
That is the price he has paid for it, the suffering. I'm sure if one day he would have an opportunity to say what he's gone through. We've laughed over that Kokumba Nanumba war, calling it. People who have lived through it are telling you their tales. Generations now have probably not seen the consequences or the price wars or such conflicts bring to us. Like you mentioned, if government should give an account of how much investment has been made in solving this conflict over the years, you will realize that money had been converted into develop the region or the area would have been one of the greatest or one of the most economic viable places to be. Let's give peace a chance. Let's not take for granted that it behoves on us or we do not agree with them. There is no issue or conflict that is resolved best with guns and knives. The best way of resolution, as Emmanuel Kutin said, is to mediate and to speak. You speak, I speak, we come to an agreement and we live. There are tribes marrying each other now, and so imagine a home where there is a Mampusi, and then the dad or the father is a Mampusi, the mother is a Kusas, and then they have children. If this misunderstanding comes, which of them would even sleep at night, not being afraid the other person will press the neck? And because of intertribal marriages, it's supposed to level the playing field for us to have logical and more forward-looking discussions. So we are hoping that whatever our chief, our royal highness the king, Utumfuo is brokering, would be a sustainable one. Timelines, so we can be able to properly measure what is being said. Talking about peace, also, the suspended Chief Justice is also seeking her own peace. And then forgive me, because this is a sensitive issue, because I want the expert to speak on the expert bit, so we don't end up saying something that eventually would bring threats to us. Even he, like he mentioned, is being threatened, so forgive me for saving you. Please, her ladyship, the Society Gertrude Araba Isaba, and also the civil procedure for the rules of the High Court 2004. She went for seeking certain reliefs, and she was in that case against the committee that had been set up to hear the petition against her, and then also against the members of the committee and the Attorney General and his allies, known as the respondents. Now, what were some of the reliefs that she and to technical? She that her right to counsel and her right to be heard were violated in the earlier meeting that was organized. She was, according to her, she was denied counsel, and she feels that was a breach of her rights, and so she was asking requested this. She says that should be part of a fair hearing given to every party to a case, and for that to be denied her, as at the time she went to court, she had not been given an authenticated copy, and so she feels she had not been fairly dealt with, and so was praying the court to nullify the committee's preliminary sittings. Again, she was saying that she's asking that every hearing that has been organized in the past, opportunity to see what she's being accused of and the answers the people who are questioned have been given, an authenticated one, not a draft, an authenticated one, then the court should nullify, or the court should not allow the proceedings to take place in the first place. That had happened, the one that happened in May, to be cancelled and not to be considered, because she believes that in that meeting they breached the procedure set out in the procedure rule and how such hearing should be organized, i.e. being given documents ahead of time where each party is given the documents so they all have a fair opportunity to come before the committee to present their view. Once she was denied that, then she says that the process was breached. And once the process was breached, then they should nullify any meeting that was organized as a result. I'm going to all the 9, but then the last one, she's also saying that once both parties, there are two parties who are there are more than one party who have got a petition. Now, if one part of them have been given the documents or the authenticated petitions and responses and answers come before the committee, and she has not been dealt with fairly. And so she's asking again that if she does not have the authenticated documents, then there should not be any proceedings going forward until that is done. However, what did the court say? Can we look at what the judgment of the in its simplest of terms, said that what she's doing, she's sidestepping another judicial arm to come to them for relief. And basically, in an interesting way, he says that if a then you cannot stop him basically from taking off. It's only when the train has an intention of taking off. So let's read what is on our screen. The request against State Attorney Reginald Odoi, who was the deputy or the person who was working with the Attorney General, deposing to the Attorney General's motion is dismissed. And this was what the court decided. Reliefs 2, 4, and 7. And later if there's time, I can read in details what relief 2, 4, and 7 actually sought. Relief 2, 4, and 7 have already been dealt with by the Supreme Court. In other words, the earlier case that she had sent to the Supreme Court had dealt with this. She had only changed it in form, but was the same, bringing it again to the High Court. And then reliefs 4, 5, and 8, and II violates Article 1468, and the court lacks jurisdiction to entertain them and therefore struck it out. The motion in its entirety was an abuse of a court process and want of jurisdiction. In other words, she has come to another court, a lower court technically, to look at a decision that had been taken by a higher court, which they believe was an abuse of the court process. The High Court has no jurisdiction to determine the allegations of human rights violations before the committee, since it is an in-camera proceeding. The matter has already been decided by the Supreme Court, which is binding on the High Court. So in simple terms, this is a human rights situation or case that is being held in camera for a reason, to keep certain information from the general public. Bringing it here means you are exposing what is supposed to be heard in camera outside, and that is going against bringing one court setting against another. And so that's the reason why I said most of the reliefs 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 and grounds to I, and IV are before the Supreme Court, and therefore constitute an abuse of court process and accordingly struck out. So these were the reliefs and the responses from the courts or the High Court. I understand we still have our colleague Nelson online. Now this Nelson, so we are speaking to this as an officer, since you are an officer of the law, you are an officer of the Supreme Court. What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you. When it comes to, you raised 2 most important points. The reason why the suspended Chief Justice is in court, that is one, that the petition has not been served on her, and two, that so when you raise the issue of properly be dispensed with at the court, and what makes a case a fair hearing is that you have not given the person an opportunity to present her side. That is, right now she is saying that she was not given a copy of the petition, so she has no time to adequately prepare for the case. And we were all in this country when her ladyship made an application to the presidency that she needed a copy of the petition. And mind you, we have to determine at this point when the whole procedure was triggered. Because is it triggered when the president received the petition? Does the hearing start from that point, or it starts from setting up of the committee? And if you see the Constitution, reading to the latter, you see that what the whole process starts from the presidency receiving the petition. So once the president receives the petition and decides to act as a conveyor belt to the Council of State, the whole process is triggered. So when the suspended Chief Justice applied to the presidency for a copy, she has been in the known after same has been served on her. So in this particular situation, it's like a party going before a pre-trial judge with a copy of a writ. Because you are a defendant, after the pre-trial judge has finished his or her work, you are now going before the substantive judge and saying that you still want a copy of the writ, which is never done. Once same is served on you before you went before the pre-trial judge, there is the same writ that you are taking if things does not work out to the trial judge. So once we are all settled that the whole process starts from the presidency, we cannot be saying that she has not been served. So she has been properly served with the writ. So going to court again and asking for a copy of the petition, because when the committee was established, she was not served with a copy of the petition. One can only say that her point may not be the legal or the constitutional position, as the petition was served on her at the point it ought to be served on her. So the committee need not give her a copy of the petition again. And also on the point where her response, her certified response was given to the petitioners. Yes, we all know that fair hearing, you have to give a copy of every process that is served in the matter to each and every party that is affected. So once she has been served with the petition, it's just legal requirement that they serve her response on the petitioners. Because mind you, sometimes if the petitioners see her response, they may decide to withdraw. But once they decide to still continue with the matter, the committee is seized with jurisdiction as same has been served on her already.
Right. Nothing. So I appreciate your expressions on this, and yes, I agree with you from the legal point of view that in one breath, the Chief Justice has indicated, or the suspended Chief Justice has indicated that she had come across the petition, which she even came to the public domain to for each of them to rebut them again, because she's also now asking for authenticated petition. What he simply means is that he does not want to just depend on what the president gave to him, but she wants to get one that has been signed and confirmed by a law court to be what the petition is. So I believe that's what she's asking for. Just before I come to studio, just to take one passing comment, because this has been a discussion that we've had in previous sessions, and so I'm sure their position would not change. But as I mentioned earlier, the judge, Justice Amoako, on the issue about the case before the Supreme Court, what he said was that the High Court, in a gentle pace, as indicated, like I mentioned, the 237 reliefs are ones before the court. Now, on the issue of saying that the court lacks jurisdiction to handle this one, the judge relied on the case of Census versus AG, and then to hold the position that the court did not have the jurisdiction to hear and determine issues for the said release, and cannot require or cannot inquire into an in-camera proceeding. So these were the cases that the judge used as reference, that it did not have or it lacked the jurisdiction to handle this case. Gentlemen, just a minute. Emmanuel Kuti, I'm sure your position has not changed from how you last held it.
Sincerely, I'm fatigued with this case.
I'm going to use the same word.
I'm really fatigued. I'm going to use the same word. My only challenge is...
But is that not the strategy?
No.
Is that the strategy maybe for us to be fatigued so everybody just gives up on the case?
No, but you see, my only challenge is that this is the #1 person at our apex court. When your application have been thrown away this way, it sends a very bad signal. And this was somebody who was interpreting the Constitution for us, passing very significant judgments that will impact on you and I. So if you look at all the court processes, I was even hearing on social media she's been thrown out at the ECOWAS court. I don't know whether that is true or not.
We'll find out.
We have to find out. So my prayer is that she has the country, the institution she sat on as the leader of our EPEC court, and let's bring sanity to all of this. I don't think it's too late. The husband should show leadership. I think they should be looking at negotiating her way out. If the issue now is about losing her livelihood, it's still not too late to say, you know, I'll fight this state for the sake. To serve is a privilege. Let's put it that way. And it sends and they can negotiate her exit. And it should send a clear message to public holders, especially offices that are supposed to be independent of political nuances, that when you are given such an opportunity, you choose to play politics, you'll be on your own. You know, initially MPP made several noise to the law. You can make all the noise. You see, the MPP service fatigue. Now she's left alone, and that is very sad. I'm an advocate for women, but I don't condone wrongdoing of any sort. I'm not saying that she has done any wrong because the committee has not come out with its report. I don't want to pass judgment here, but the way the manner the issues are going, I would have urged her as a mother to just let go.
Let go.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah, just 1 minute. I think if you look at the play, the player didn't disclose the content of what was sent to the president. And the president, if you have to be very sincere, the president, in the spirit of procedural fairness and the natural principle of natural justice, I think has conducted himself very well. Except that I have a problem with the way the embattled Chief Justice has conducted as in reference to as he considering the position that she occupies. If your cases are being thrown out picture of you, so I would also add my. If there's a possibility of negotiation, let one be done. So going the way he's struggling behind. I mean, and doing all manner of and judicial. I would add my voice if she had to make that she something like that. And I'll tell you why. You see, when we were in Legon, during our whole week was like the year 2000. You know, we entered 98 and left 2001 because we did 3 years. And our whole week, I was the whole treasurer. And that was our theme song for the float. And that was the most happiest day in my life on campus. You see? And you wouldn't answer when it got to that point. Hey, drive me to Washington. This is how we dance with it. Which one is your mixed favorite?
Me, my wife is a die-hard fan of that. My
wife can sing all the songs.
And the one that was right with me is Yemis Rikwa. People would laugh with you, but what if you should know what is behind? Yesterday, my wife played once. I was very this one. Can you hear that?
Yes, the one she did with the called. I think the video was done in a swimming pool. Yeah.
I played this for me last night. I was like, and I was like, wow.
It's an erotic song.
That Lumba have saved marriage. He has saved home. So look, we need to immortalize this man. My only prayer is the family. They should stop their differences, their personal and peripheral interests, and let the state immortalize their Jesus. You remember the story about the adultery woman? Yes. He said, you who have not sinned. As who can say we have not sinned before? We are all sinners before the Lord. So let's forget about, and the bloggers, they are not so helping matters. The clicks they want to get, if you are rather bringing a bad image on the country and an icon like that in Lumba.
In fact, if I let me say this, a lot of us sang Lumba song without knowing the words.
It's true.
It's only words. Sometimes, even today, if you get someone to break it down, decode it, you realize the man really sang.
Yeah.
So some of us were interested in the beats, and then we could not even put the words together. But once you get to know exactly what the man was saying, you realize that
when my wife explained this song to me, I was like, wow. I always listened to the sound.
Lumba was a philosopher.
We just even spoke about the OSP. I think one of the OSPs in the latter part of the he mentioned, and if you listen to the song Ankwanuma and the things he said in that song, at that you get to see how philosophical the song is. Like you're saying, a lot of us were just dancing to the tunes of the song. But if you listen to what he was saying, that look, his family, there was nothing to boast of in the family. He at a point became the breadwinner for the family. He had to travel to endure a lot of pain, and at that time, this was what the people at the time were going through. I mean, the 70s and everything else, going to work in the cold, hard jobs to bring money back, and telling people that, look, I'm doing my bit for the family. I'm trying as much as possible, as well as I can, to move the family. When my time is up, somebody else has to continue. You understand? And if you listen to the songs, some of them, I mean,
and look, like I said, he's the Michael Jackson of Africa, not Ghana. If you go to any African country, they play Lumba songs.
Some people will be saying that the content of his song, but what we need to understand is music speaks to different groups of people. He did gospel songs, he did songs about God, he did songs about marriages, he did songs about love and about peace. So it's about children of the future.
He cut across gospel.
So right, viewers, if you are a true Daddy Lumba fan, if you love him, if you want to restore his memory, I mean, Lumba, they said Nkrumah never dies. We believe now that Lumba would never die because his music has lived 30 years and beyond, and we are still enjoying it. Today when you hear Ankwanuma, it's as if it's a new song that has come. But be a vigil this evening, a candlelight vigil at the Independence Square in memory and honor of him. If you are available, get a candle, let's just go, let's listen to his song, let's sing along the songs, let's remember the memory. The man has transcended generations from the 1970s, 80s, 90s to he did that song. To mean that. So thank you very much, viewers. It's been a lovely time.
It will be difficult to go without saying talking about his humility and a sense of gratefulness.
Right. Yes. I mean, Lumba appreciate what people do or did. Rooms in our public transport, on our WhatsApp platform. Let's share. Let's express and continue to live as a Ghanaian. unique, so that one day when you leave, we can also celebrate you for what you have left behind. Enjoy your weekend. God bless you, and let's see you next week Saturday.